Three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Part two.
Part
of
dos.
A draft weekend recap episode here. We will definitely get to your dumb football questions for the bulk of this episode. But since this is our last time here to give our final, whatever's left in our bag of draft takes, and we've exhausted a lot of them, let's go around the room with some mics. I'll start us off here, gentlemen. Just something else that stood out from draft weekend, something else we even haven't touched on enough, or something that's popped up in your mind. And I want to lead you with this one. Okay, Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are my collective mic here. I think Jerry Jones is setting his team up for a major reset after 2024, but he's just not saying it out loud.
Okay.
Is it 3 straight 12-win seasons, I believe, but playoff failures, smoked at home by the Packers last year. Dak Prescott with a ton of contractual leverage over the organization, which kind of prevented them from being able to do much in free agency. Once your quarterback gets up to a $55 million cap hit, makes it harder to fill out your roster. They just weren't aggressive in making moves to surround the team with talent or keep talent. Kind of feels, and then Jerry Jones has said some really cryptic things to the media too, like, hey, why weren't you more aggressive in pursuing something different for Dak's contract? And this is like last week, and his answer was, we just need to see some more cards on the table. It's like, well, what does that mean? What are we talking about?
That's a Jerry answer. I love it though.
I feel like he's setting the team up to not be a train wreck, but to fail so he can fire Mike McCarthy and get a new quarterback in the draft in 2025. Is that a hot take?
I mean, I'm going to say, wait, before you say anything, I'm going to say a little bit yes, just because it's Jerry. And his competitiveness is second to none. Like, he is the most competitive person, I think, probably the most competitive owner in the NFL. So for him to be like, I'm going to sabotage my own team just a little bit or slightly, like, I'm sure deep down he thinks that Dak is our guy. We're paying him a lot of money. We're not even going to look elsewhere. We're not going to do anything else. Could they have done some other things in the draft? Sure. But it's the same thing that we talked about on part one. We don't know what's being said behind the draft room. We don't know how much confidence they have in their team. This could be one of those, hey, we're so close, we just need a couple pieces, and it's the same thing every year. But do I think that he would go out there and go, hey, we're gonna do an okay draft and purposefully not do well so that we can get rid of some of these guys? I don't see that as much.
I think he would prefer, I guess what I'm saying is, I think he would prefer that Dak Prescott either proves he can carry a team that's not perfect around him further than he has. Here's the other thing. The Cowboys, in terms of cash spent on their roster, so there's cap money and then there's cash spent.
Right.
32nd in the NFL in cash spent for the 2024 season. Interesting. Like, it's a kind of a step back in signing bonuses, a step back in money up front for players. It just, everything feels like a breather year, not like a 6-win breather, but like just okay, why don't you guys, Dak, go ahead, you carry this thing and let's see how far you can take it. And if you can't, then
to be fair though, aren't they low because they have all those guys are young, like Micah?
They have a very young
CD,
team. Yeah,
they're all young. They're still on their rookie contract, so that's gonna boom soon too. Like, this could be them saying, hey, listen, this is gonna be one of the last years that we have this much money on the table, that maybe next year they go, hey, listen, there's some guys that we've targeted for next year. But at the same time, I don't ever see Jerry going into a season going, I'm hoping to finish 10-7 so that I can fire my coach and my quarterback.
I agree with Boone. I think he's too old for that.
Yeah.
I think he wants one more ring on the finger here, right before he finally rides off into the sunset, and he will not rest until that happens. And if he thinks he's got 2 or 3 more years to really be with it and doing everything, then sure. But I mean, I saw Jerry at the combine. Jerry doesn't look good. Like, Jerry's old, man. Like, and I mean, I'm not saying in a bad way. He's really old.
Right,
and like,
eventually you get old.
Being a GM, head coach, assistant in his ear always, and owner, like, that stuff's stressful. That stuff's stressful, and I can't imagine him being okay with doing that. But maybe I'm wrong, and he's thinking, like, I'm got enough money, I just inject it in my veins, I'm going to live forever.
Dude.
Like,
You know what's crazy about the Cowboys? So when did you guys start remembering watching football? Like the 90s? Sometime in the 90s?
90s.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was born in the 90s. So, I mean,
Yeah.
like late 90s when
I
I remember
mid-90s.
watching the Broncos win Super Bowls is kind of my early memories of football.
So like so it was just like after the Cowboys dynasty was kind of winding down is when you kind of but think about this, when you were a little kid and your grandparents would tell you about the good old days back in the Vince Lombardi Packer days or like the Jim Brown Cleveland Browns days of the late 50s and 60s. There's a wider gap between 2024 and the last time the Cowboys were relevant on that level from when you were a kid and your grandparents told you about like black and white football in the 1950s with Jim Brown. Like it's been 30 years since they've been championship relevant, the Dallas Cowboys.
And I think it's crazy for us to think because I remember watching the Cowboys be really, really good. Like I remember watching all of that. And I guess when you're in the league, you don't realize how no one else has success. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess I didn't think about it that the Cowboys haven't been really relevant for 30 years. Like they've been good at times, but then they've always lost in the first round. But it's like, that's a long time. You're right. And I guess I never thought about it because I was playing and I never wanted Dallas, and we always hated Dallas being in Frisco. So it was like, you turn around and you're like, man, you're right. It has been a while. And that's why I stand even more resolute in saying that I don't think Jerry is out here going, let's kick the can to next year. Okay, Steven. Like he's like, hey, let's go now. It's my time to ride off. This is your team.
But they didn't. Like they haven't.
But
that's
that. Jerry in his mind going, we have enough pieces. Dude, I've heard GMs say this, and Jay, you have too. We are just so close. And you're like, you can only say that for so long before you start getting farther away, okay? And you're just fucking blind. That could be this scenario, right? And I'll say that to say this. Dak Prescott. They paid him a ton of money, and it's always kind of fallen on his shoulders that they haven't gotten any farther. And this is Jerry going, we're so close. Or it's Jerry going, listen, I'm going to give you one more year. That's it. And then after this, it's out. Peace. Like, we don't know what's being said. But, yeah, I agree. I don't feel comfortable, especially not after what the Eagles did, drafting in the first round, 2 cornerbacks. Like, the Eagles were like, we have a problem. Let's address it now. Boom. 2 of them in the first round. You're like, damn.
What that? Cooper DeJean wound up in the second round, but yeah, for their
was
first
it second?
picks,
My bad. Yeah, first 2 picks. I mean,
Yep.
You get 2 of the top guys. You're like, okay, they're clearly trying to reload again. I will be honest with you, since we're talking about this division, and I kind of brought it up. The more I think about this, the more I'm curious as to why the Giants didn't pick a quarterback.
Oh, welcome! I
really am because I saw Neighbors rolling in, and he did not look happy.
Daniel, what do you call him? He called him like Daniel Jones or something like that. He like mixed the J and the D.
Whatever
Daniel
it was.
Jones.
You can tell that is just. I'm looking at this like, man, you guys had a really, really sweet spot to go pick somebody, and you just totally didn't address it. Once again, don't know what's being said behind closed doors, and I'm not saying anything about Daboll.
I think they love Daniel Jones up there. I think they paid him. I think that obviously externally it doesn't look great, but like obviously internally he does the right things. He says the right things, or else they wouldn't have paid him all that money. And
I agree.
They feel like we haven't seen the best Daniel Jones because we don't have enough pieces around him.
Right
now we got him Neighbors, we got him the pieces. Now let's see if he can do it. Right, I think that's more what they did on that front. Like, I really like the tight end that they picked too, Theo Johnson from Penn State. Like, that's going to be a really nice 1-2 with Darren Waller. Like, I was surprised Theo fell.
Is Darren Waller coming back though?
I think so. I mean,
dude, that's another thing.
I haven't seen an official retirement from him.
Well, that's the thing is he's waiting, and the team's waiting, and it's kind of like, what are we waiting for, dude? I feel bad for a team when that situation happens, and everyone's like, we're going to wait and give him his space because they're looking at this like, man, we could really use another tight end, and if you're not coming back, now we need 2 tight ends. Like, that's got to be a lot for a team. But yeah, if you get Darren Waller back, then that's another piece, another weapon.
Do you think one of my good buddies is a Giants fan and just like super passionate, hardcore, overly emotional Giants fan.
Most of them are.
And before the draft, you're right. Before the draft, we were texting about how the Vikings might have to jump you for a quarterback, and he said, I honestly hope they don't take a quarterback because I want Brian Daboll and this front office to sleep in the bed that they made. Daniel Jones either needs to figure it out in 2024 or everyone needs to go. This like, and I'm like, wait a second here, because my take is, let's say Daniel Jones doesn't pan out you get him another weapon in the draft and it's not working to the degree that you're paying him, right? I personally don't think that means Brian Daboll should be fire his hat. I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think Brian Daboll is a really good offensive coach.
Yeah.
Maybe they wind up having signed a bad contract at quarterback, dude. But do we need to do this every time in the NFL? Something goes wrong, or you whiff on a quarterback or something, and now we need to blow everyone out and start over every single time. So I'm here to defend Brian Daboll, I guess, in advance.
We're with you. We're with you 100%.
I plant the flag with Daboll too. I think he's
a
phenomenal coach. I mean, what he did with the roster that he had 2 years ago was remarkable. Right, to win a playoff game, to have the season they had
against your Vikings, Mac.
I mean, to do what he did. Sensitive.
And
instigator for Alex. But to have the roster that he did with the players that he had, and to take that team, like, that shows the kind of coach he is. Yeah. Last year was a disaster for them on an injury front. So many things.
The whole line got hurt.
Everything that could have went, like, Murphy's Law existed in New York Giants headquarters, man. All that could go wrong. And so I think this is going to be a bounce back year for them. I mean, so much is dependent on Daniel Jones' injury, obviously, but I think we'll see a better Giants team this year.
Okay. Yeah, that division, man. What an interesting. I mean,
tough,
the Commanders with new ownership, completely.
Jaden Daniels, the quarterback now. Yeah. Dude, it's going to be really exciting to watch that division.
It's been so easy to write off the Commanders for 20 or 25 years as just being the Commanders or the Redskins previously.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can do that anymore. Maybe. We'll see with all the new leadership. But it does feel like there's a little bit more optimism and electricity there in the building.
Absolutely. But look what division you're in. We're talking about it right now. Like, you're in and the Giants they traded for Brian Burns. Like, you're talking about, dude, like, this whole division's gotten really exciting. But I'll tell you what, another team that I think has done really well this year, especially in the draft, was the Steelers. You go out and you get Troy Fatanu, and then you talk about turning around and getting Frazier, and then you go even later and you get Mason McCormick. Like, you got your whole interior offensive line in this draft. And that's exciting to me because I'm like, dude, when you look at Mike Tomlin and what he's thinking, he's like, hey, listen, we got Russ back here. We got to keep him safe. And at the same time, if we don't have him, we got Fields. And we got to keep him safe. And I think they really addressed a huge key issue that they have, especially in their division, dude. They play some really badass defenses. And you got to have some big boys up front. And those are some big motherfuckers. Dude, you watch Zach Frazier film, Jay will tell you, we tried to recruit him into the gym. Fucking loved his film. Dude is a grinder. I can't say enough about Troy. Like, when I watch his film and his feet and how big he is, like, truly, I watched him getting drafted and he stood up and I was like, holy shit. Huge. And you talk about Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. Fucking massive dude. Just badass dude. Reminds me of Slauson a lot. And you know how much I love Matt Slauson. Like, dude that would just stay in there and fucking inject haymakers into your face. Like, I can eat this longer than you could fucking dish it out in any life. Like, I love that. And now you're talking about a division that is a very punch you in the face. And now we're going to be coming after you with this run game and the play action. Dude, I'm so excited to see what the Steelers do. Plus, I've just been a Mike Tomlin fan ever since he left the stage. Ever since
a Tomlin take.
Dude, I love him.
I know Steelers fans are going to cringe at this because I think they're
probably bad. I'm going to come through the screen. I will.
No, dude, I have a question that I think you're going to like, but I'm going to preface it by saying Steelers fans are annoyed that they haven't won a playoff game since 2016, that they haven't won a Super Bowl since 2008, and that, like, they don't care about just finishing above 500.
Right, but they want to win.
But the fact that Mike Tomlin has been that team's head coach since 2007 and has never finished below 500,
it's incredible. In
a league that literally, like, emphasizes parity and, you know, like, the worst teams in the league get the best draft picks and clear cap space and stuff. Where does that streak rank in terms of NFL coaching accomplishments?
I would put him top 3.
I think it puts him in the Hall of Fame
for sure.
And the ring, sure, he obviously has a ring from 2008.
I think that type of stat, when you look at it from an objective view of understanding what the big picture of the league is,
and how hard it is to win,
in this
year
league,
after year,
like, that puts him in the Hall of Fame. Sure. I think Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame head coach.
And let's be honest, dude, they drafted really, really well for a long, long time. Like, they were just scooping dudes all the time. They had their defenses were fucking elite. I know because I played against a couple of them. Kiesel, and you were like, Jesus Christ, these dudes. Casey Hampton, fuck you, dude. Like, you wipe Casey Hampton, and you were like, don't say wipe, don't say wipe. Wipe. He'd like look over at you like, what'd you say?
Are you talking about Hayward?
No,
Cam Hayward?
Casey fucking Hampton. That's how old I am, dude. Like 2009, the nose tackle. Fucking 400 pounds. It was when Kiesel was there. Larry Foote was there. Fucking the baddest dudes ever. And then you turn around and on offense.
Casey Hampton is a real football player.
I know, dude. I played him. Believe me. I was there like, don't say wipe. Wipe. Fuck.
Texas boy out of the 2001 NFL draft. Wow.
I'm old, buddy.
Pick,
I'm getting old, okay? But yeah, dude, you talk about that. Like, if you really start breaking down coaches and you started looking at year to year, you'd be like, wow, these guys had some dippy years. But when you can go back and be like, we've always kind of had this plan. Yeah, we've gone up, but we've never sank below the average. You're like, shit, this guy knows how to win. In my opinion, he knows how to motivate people year after year to continue motivating the same guys.
If the Steelers ever fired him, he'd be the #1 head coach candidate for 30.
They almost talked, dude, this offseason when he almost left, everybody was like, I'm hiring him. And there was teams that were like, we have a great head coach. We're still going to hire him. Like, we're going to fire ours and hire him. Yeah. Dude, he's amazing.
But what is it? Because he's a defensive-minded guy in an
I heard
in
he's
an era.
awesome. I heard he's awesome. I've heard stories that people are like, you'll run through a brick wall for him. Like,
and why? Like,
because he tells you the truth, he keeps you accountable, and he's the same guy every single day. Like, they're like, dude, coach is the same thing every single day. And every story you hear about him is guys telling him about wisdom that he always told them, how he would always sit and talk with them, his motivation. I mean, obviously, you're a defensive-minded coach, and offensive players love you. You must be a really good guy. Like, most of us don't like you guys, just to be honest. Like, if anyone doesn't know, it's not a surprise. Like, we just kind of riff with them. So when you have offensive guys, they're like, I'd run through a fucking brick wall for that guy. You're like, wow, he must have really struck some chords. They're like, dude, he's just the most chill dude, fair. He'd come mess with you when he knew you needed it. But at the same time, if you were fucking up, he'd stick a foot in your ass and tell you the same way he told everybody else. And you were like, I like that. It's like the Belichick, but he had a funny personality, I heard. Like, he wasn't afraid to be accountable with everybody, but wasn't afraid to let it loose and be cool with the guys in the locker room, which to me is exactly what you need your head coach to be. And people always think, oh, you got to love your head coach. No, you have to hate him more than you love him. You should hate him almost like 5 days a week, and then one day you're like, wow, this guy's really chill. He doesn't really talk to us that much, right? And then all of a sudden here comes Monday, and he's back talking to you, and you're like, God, I hate this guy. He doesn't... He's just yelling at me the whole time. Like, that's how this goes. And so when you have guys that are like, dude, I'll play for this guy for 12, 13. How many guys played for him for like 13 years? Like, you know how hard
James
that is
Harrison,
to come in every day and believe this guy every day when he's like, guys, we're so close. Like, dude, talk about some legends, bro.
And also, like, some of the nonsense he's had to handle.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, he had to handle the Antonio Brown situation. He had to handle the Le'Veon
Bell.
Like, all those things come into – it's really easy to think about the wins and the losses from the X's and O's standpoint. But when you start talking about the stuff he's handled off the field and kept the team from tanking or kept the team from falling apart at the seams, like, he's had to deal with a lot of that, and he's done it with class. He's never gotten himself in trouble. Like, he's just, when you say, like, I want a head coach that's a leader of men and also a great football mind, like, Bill Belichick comes to mind, and then you got to start thinking Tomlin's right up there on that list.
Andy Reid. Like, he's up there with those guys, in my opinion, for sure. Like, he's one of these guys that gets it. And at the same time, when you talk about a guy who could get some of the most badass offensive line dudes to, like, buy in, like, think about their offensive line.
Adam Faneca.
Dude, they had
Alan Faneca.
Alan Faneca. You had Pouncey. You had
Ramon Foster.
Dude.
He was so big, dude. He couldn't get a 3-point. He couldn't get in a 3-point stance. He was so big. Everyone would be like 4th and 1, and everyone's in a 2-point. Everyone's in a 3-point, like 4-point, and he's just in a 2-point, just ready to go because he just couldn't bend over.
Nicest guy in the world, biggest human being I've ever seen, other than Trent Brown. I swear to God, nicest guy in the world. We should have him on sometime. He'd have some fun stories.
Villanueva, right?
Oh man,
yeah. I mean, they've had great dudes in great rooms, and that's another piece of it. When you have a dynasty of winning culture like that, it means you're bringing the right pieces in.
That's why I said they draft well. They do well.
But also in free agency, and not just being like, hey, this guy's really great. We got to pay him all this money. It's like, well, how does he fit into our culture? Like, how does, and I think some teams get themselves in trouble with that if there's like, hey, we got to get this guy because he's so talented. But it's like, well, does he fit our message? Will he fit in here, or is he going to be a disaster and is he going to be a headache? Like, and Tomlin's done a great job with that too. I mean, he's checked every box when it comes to what makes a great coach in the NFL.
You know who I think about when I think about offensive line from Steelers?
Who?
Like, you got some real dudes, right? Like Mike Webster, Pouncey, but talk about a guy, Willie Colon. Remember Willie Colon?
Oh, yeah.
Willie
Dude,
Colon.
I used to work out with Willie, and he never wore shoes. And he was one of the strongest guys in the fucking world. Him, Max Starks. Dude, they had some of the most badass offensive lines ever, and they're led by a defensive guy. Dude, can we get this man a round of applause?
Yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal work over the years.
Who, Willie Colon or Mike Tomlin?
Mike
Tomlin. But we're definitely going to get Willie on the show.
Mike Tomlin, this is the crazy thing too. So Bill Cowher was there for 2 decades. And then Chuck Noll, their coaching history. So Chuck Noll started in 1969, and they've had 3 coaches since 1969. I looked it up. The Cleveland Browns, across 2 different iterations of their franchise, have had like 22 different head coaches over that same stretch.
Oh, yeah?
And they weren't even a team for like 5 years.
Oh, yeah? How many of the Vikings had?
Did I pick on your hometown team there, Booney? Sorry.
Sensitive.
Oh, yeah? How many have the Broncos had? Huh?
Dude,
You wanna
the
keep
Vikings
going?
haven't had
You
as
wanna
many
keep
as
going?
you think, man.
Oh,
Why are
how many have they
why are
had?
you
Over
so
10?
sensitive?
Over 10?
Why are you being so sensitive right now? It's just the Cleveland
Come
Browns.
after my
dude.
Browns like that, dude.
I've got
the
because
Vikings-
you guys all just
on the
poked
Browns now. I got a client. I'm a big Brownie fan. Dog Brown. I'm all about it.
Dude, I think it's under 10 for the Vikings. I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna fight
Steak
you
and
on
a beer.
this.
69?
How confident are you? Before you look it up,
Oh,
how
I'll
confident
go
are
steak
you?
and a beer on it right now.
I'll
Since
take a beer.
69?
Yeah,
We're starting at like Bud Grant.
No, so okay, here's what we're gonna do. Mackie, you set the number. Boone, you take the over under.
It's 9.5. I'm taking the under.
9.5. You're taking
So
the
9 or fewer Vikings head coaches,
under. Okay.
and Boone's going over. So 10 or
take the
more.
over.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Good.
Look
Okay.
it
Let's
up.
count them up. All right. Someone. I'm gonna name them. Jay, you count them. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
Bud Grant started in 1967. So we're going from 69, right? So
Yep.
Bud Grant is 1. Les Steckel for a year.
Oh,
Then you
that's
got
gonna hurt.
canned.
The 1 year is gonna hurt, Mac.
And then Bud Grant came back, but that doesn't count.
No.
That doesn't count.
That's
That doesn't
enough.
count. Doesn't count.
Doesn't
you
count.
said just no. That doesn't
Coaches.
count. Coaches.
Yeah.
Repeat offenders don't account.
Jerry Burns
Okay, there's 3.
for like 6 years. Denny Green for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tice.
Oh, Mike Dice.
Brad Childress. Les Frazier. Mike Zimmer, your guy's favorite head coach of all time.
Am I at 10?
And Kevin O'Connell.
It's 9.
Oh, let's go.
See, if Bud Grant would have counted twice, I would have won.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, bud.
All right, steak and beer.
All right, do you guys want some dumb football questions
Let's
here?
do
Of course
it.
we do. Of
Okay.
course we do.
So we'll get to some dumb football questions presented today by our friends over at Aura, our new friends at Aura, who are here not only to help protect you guys, the audience, from various threats online, they're here to help support our show, which is why you should support them by signing up for a free trial at aura.com. That's aura.com/O-line committee. Free 2-week trial. You can check out all the great work that they do. So recently, AT&T revealed, for instance, that over 73 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. So, like, they recommend that those affected, of course, use strong passwords and monitor account activity and consider credit freezes. Well, Aura does all of this for you. And best of all, you don't have to download a million different apps just because one company couldn't keep your data secure or because you're worried about what pops up during a Google search. So if you just go to aura.com/O-line committee and start a free 2-week trial, you can set up very easily the Aura system, which will help protect you against data brokers who sell your information to scammers, spammers, anyone who may want to target you. And parental controls, also part of the deal with Aura. You can monitor activity from your kids on their phones on different apps. Again, it's aura.com, aura.com/O-line committee to start your free 2-week trial. When you sign up for a free 2-week trial, you help our show. So we appreciate and thank you in advance. Okay, boys.
Dumb football.
Dumb football questions here. Submit however you want. YouTube comment section. You can tweet them at us if you want to. We try to stockpile as many of these and get to the best ones. Let's start with this one from Tony Owens. He says, if the UFL was in existence when your careers were winding down in the NFL, would you guys have accepted a job with a UFL team?
No.
Or in the Arena League?
No. I love the UFL, and I think it's fantastic, but it's not meant for guys that are like coming off 4, 5, 6 year careers in the NFL. Like, you're not getting back in. Right, I think if I look at guys,
what if you just want to make a little money playing football still?
They don't want to see you there either.
I mean, sure, but like AJ McCarron, you're not coming back into the league, dude. Like, there's enough tape in the league. You could go light the UFL on fire, and he's crushing it right now. I think he has like 8 touchdowns. He's an MVP candidate, but the NFL knows who you are. They've seen you in the stage in which you weren't able to produce. But the UFL, for a kid coming out of college that is an undrafted free agent, maybe a late round pick, doesn't have a great preseason because there's like whatever reason, there's only 3 games now. He gets on a team that doesn't do it. And the only way you're getting back in the league is through game tape. Perfect league. It's fantastic. Right. But at the end of our careers, like when you're in the NFL for multiple years, usually the reason you get out is because your body tells you can't do it anymore. Right? That's the main reason Booty and I finished playing. It wasn't because we weren't good enough anymore. It was because, my ankle exploded twice, and that was it. Booney's knee was no longer working. Did that lead to us not having as good of play? Yes. So it's kind of a twofold thing. But if that's the case when you're exiting the NFL, the last thing you're going to do is be like, let's
do one more.
$60,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, let's go do it with minimal health insurance.
Dude,
right?
it's not. When I left, they were like, you're not allowed to play anymore. Your knee is so bad. They're like, you'd have to sign so many waivers on this thing, Booney. It's not even worth it. So it's like, it wasn't even open to us at the same. And like Jay said, at the same time, yeah, the UFL loves the fact that AJ McCarron's there because every team needs one superstar quarterback, right? I'm cool with that. But when it comes to like, hey, this guy's going into year 7 in the NFL, he's playing on the offensive line, they're like, dude, I don't fucking see you. We want to see the young guys. We want to develop young players. Yeah, it's great having an old quarterback that everyone knows who can sling the ball around, but everyone around him is young, and they're trying to get back into the NFL, and they're like, dude, if we don't have a good quarterback, nobody's going to have good tape. That's why I'm not against guys like that in the league.
I would say this, okay, from a fan perspective. I think the offensive lineman, you're right. It's just you guys put in your dues, your legs are all screwed up. It's warfare in there. But if you're looking to get increased TV viewership, increased interest in the UFL, in the Arena League, whatever, would I, as a fan, be more likely to watch a UFL game if 53-year-old Terrell Owens was playing wide receiver on, not for $60,000, by the way.
You're
so
sick.
Like Major League Soccer has a salary cap structure, but every team can sign one player beyond that structure for marketing purposes. That's how Messi plays for Miami. That's how like David Beckham came in a long time ago. Like, what if the St. Louis Battlehawks signed Adrian Peterson for like $500,000? He would for sure do it for that kind of money. People would be like, I get to watch Adrian Peterson and play in the UFL and run roughshod.
One guy a team. Guys? That'd be that T.O. comes back in.
Wouldn't that be fun? Tony Romo.
We haven't talked about our UFL teams. We haven't talked about our UFL teams.
Yeah, it's been
don't Google it. Don't you get your hands off that keyboard. Get your hands off that keyboard. How's everyone's UFL teams doing?
I think I'm 3-1. St. Louis Battlehawks. We lost our first game, went on a winning streak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boone?
Can I Google
I'm 2-3.
Yes. You're 2-3? Oh, I see you on your phone. You cheater.
I'm not. I don't even know.
Cheater.
I'm not.
Show me your phone. Show it. Show me your phone. Show it to me. Don't you click on it. You fucking. Hey,
4-1. 4-1 Battlehawks, baby.
Dang
plus
him.
56 point differential.
My undefeated Birmingham Stallions are taking the league by storm, boys. Just murdering out. Adrian Martinez out there slinging that thing. Slinging it. And that's what the UFL's about. No one wants to see the old heads. I get what you're saying, Mac, but it's not what the league's about.
No, they don't want that, dude.
But you do need money to run the league.
Dude, speaking of, have you seen the Arena Football League update from the weekend?
No.
This is wild. Okay.
Arena football.
So Arena Football came back after it's like the fourth time that it's come back. Yeah.
It's died. Dude, that thing's been revived. It's on life support at this point.
Keep it going.
I'm going to read you. I got to read you this from Pro Football Talk. And there's a Minnesota team. So Booney and I, maybe we're living in Minnesota. Maybe
I
we
went
can
to
go
a
together.
game once. I took Johnny to an Arizona game, and we sat on the like right along the padding. It was amazing, dude. I had so
keep
much
your drink
fun.
off that ledge though.
Oh, so fun.
So the Arena League, which launched in the 1980s, went through various sizes and shapes before disappearing in 2020, returned over the weekend. There were complications, to say the least. First off, the games were supposed to be televised by NFL Network. They ultimately were not televised over the weekend. The NFL has not responded to a request for confirmation for comment regarding the failure of the games to be televised.
Wait, you picked draft weekend? You picked draft weekend to open your season? Yeah, okay, yeah. We're going to... Hey, I know you all want to watch the second round here. We're going to cut to the Colorado Crush versus the Arizona Rattlers. We'll be right back. Yeah, no.
Oh, God.
So, okay, but it gets worse. More specifically, the Philadelphia Soul had a weekend to forget. Per the Philadelphia Inquirer, many players allegedly were released on Friday before the first game over the weekend and booted from the Super 8 motel where they had been staying. Their luggage, according to the report, was taken from them and locked in a room. Apparently, the league took ownership of the Soul after a group that was going to buy the team backed out at the last minute. The Philadelphia coach, Patrick Pimmel, stepped down the day before the Soul were due to face the Louisiana Voodoo in Lafayette. Players from the Dallas Falcons of the American Arena League 2, which is like a subdivision Arena League, served as replacements in the new Arena League for the Philadelphia Soul. So they took a different team's roster, elevated them to a higher level Arena League.
Guys, we're the Soul tonight.
And put Philadelphia Soul.
But that's not my name on the back of the jersey. Wear it.
The Voodoo won in a blowout, 53-18. There's no mention of the game on what appears to be the Arena League's current website.
Was it sanctioned? It wasn't a sanctioned game. It was an exhibition.
Hey, listen. I would totally be down too for like having this. What Mackey said, you could go out and spend as much as you want on one player for the Arena League. That would be incredible, dude. Mackey, this is a great idea.
I'm telling you, man.
Dude, you need to start telling more people.
You guys call me a hot take clickbait artist.
No, that's a great idea. Because now I'm already starting to think about teams that I'd be like, listen, you could easily pay this guy $1 million.
Think about this. It's the same concept. Think about this. So, are you more likely to pay $100 pay-per-view to watch two heavyweight boxers you've never heard of fight for a championship? Or Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson?
Oh, Logan Paul, Mike Tyson for sure. Guarantee. Right? I agree with you 100%. That's why I'm like, this is a great strategy. We need to create this league. The rest of you get paid shillings. You get paid everything.
Odell Beckham out there just mossing over like a 21-year-old corner.
Randy, quick. It's only an 8-game season. Quick. We're bringing T.O. back.
Gronk out there, man.
Can we reverse back that these dudes' pregame meals are in the Super 8? Like not just were like you were kicked out of the like hotel, the team hotel, but they went to the specifics of like the Super 8. Is that the one that's like, we'll leave the light on for you? Like
that's Motel 6.
Motel 6.
Motel 6.
By the way,
that's name.
Who steals someone's luggage and just locks it away like you're not getting this?
It's mine now. It's mine.
You owe us.
This is your payment. I actually think you have to pay to be in the Arena League. Like,
God, that's terrible. That is so bad.
Dude, I had some war stories. Boone, you probably did too, of buddies that were in the USFL,
NFL Europe.
When the bottom fell out.
No,
like remember, like mid-season. This is probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, I remember when it fell out. Yeah,
middle of the dude. I had buddies that were on the team in Tampa, or they were playing a game in Tampa. They weren't there. They were from, I don't remember what other team, but they were in Tampa when the full cease and desist letter came out, and the team was like, sorry, boys, get home yourselves, and just left them in Tampa. Like, they just left them there.
And didn't get paid? They didn't get paid,
No, they didn't get paid, just left them there. And I remember asking, I was like, did they feed you? He goes, our lunch was 2 hot dogs and 1 bun. Like, that's what they fed him for lunch. Like, stadium hot dogs. 2 of them, get your protein, but it was in 1 bun. Like, dude, some of these leagues were just disasters.
Don't even get me started. How about the one on the Netflix series? Bishop Sycamore.
Oh, the fake school.
Yeah. Stop it. I heard there's another one coming out. I heard they try to play another game or something. Dude, this whole thing has me wrapped. I can't believe we're living real life when we're talking about this shit.
But like
we just got kicked out of the Super 8.
Do you think the guy at the Super 8's like, dude, I'm just 1 step away from the NFL? Like,
guaranteed.
This is my shot.
I'm knocking on
the film door. Today is gonna push me over. I'm gonna fucking murder.
I'm gonna take the soul out of the souls, and we're gonna go, baby. Like, we're gonna a roll.
You know how much you have to love football to be
That's what I've always
Super 8
loved.
the night before.
I
Dude,
love football
hey.
to a point, like to an extent, right? Like I love my kids. Like I would do anything for my kids. I love the game of football. But if you didn't pay me the outrageous salary that we made and give me the medical benefits that we had, like that's the biggest thing. Is these dudes are on like mom and dad's insurance plan out there playing a dangerous game,
Very
hoping
dangerous.
that something doesn't happen. Like
with no
it's
doctors.
crazy.
Like think about how many doctors we have standing on the sidelines that are like, he doesn't look right. Call a timeout. And
dude,
like you just think about all the doctors that run out there when you get hurt, and you think about these games.
There's
you're
no
like,
independent spotter at the
no,
arena game.
there's nothing, nothing.
Okay, I have one more name to throw in the UFL mix. Okay, would you be more likely if we dusted off? Let me do some math here. 54-year-old Brett Favre.
Oh,
to play in the UFL.
I would pay.
Only if
fortune.
you wore Wranglers. Only if you played the game wearing
And he has to have a
Wranglers.
copper sleeve on his elbow.
Oh, guaranteed.
Dude, I would pay to watch
everywhere.
it. See, that's what I'm saying. We should start a senior league.
A celebrity
with all
senior
these guys.
league?
Yes, and make it full tackle. Dude, it would be insane. Ed Reed, we're pulling him out of retirement. Ray Lewis, we're pulling you out. Can't get JJ. He's working CBS.
You could get Peyton and Eli for the quarterbacks.
For sure. Opposite sides of the entire league. That'd be great. Just
You
so
could
they
get
can
Michael
meet.
Vick. Get
you
Michael
could-
Vick back out
You,
there.
you get some of the athletes that have like let themselves go too.
Yeah.
You know, like hey, Booger McFarland, you still got it? Like
Bug.
get out there. See if Warren Sapp still has a few juice
Hey,
left in the tank.
you could call Tom. Tom, I got an idea.
Tom might come back to the actual league at some point here.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Gerard Mayo said? He was like, listen, with all due respect, y'all, I played with that dude. He ain't coming back. He was like, he's welcome to be a coach, but he ain't playing here. I was like, good for you, bud.
Shuts the door on it.
Shuts the door on it.
Couple questions for the show here.
Oh, yeah,
Doug Hall says, would have been nice if you guys did a live draft watch party on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. That might be impossible with your work schedules, but it would have been great. We should find some time to go live once in a while. Like, I mean, during the draft, Jay's got 19 spreadsheets open.
There's a 0% chance I'm ever live during the draft. Maybe if I have a year where like I don't have a chance to have a guy day 2, maybe. But like if I ever have a chance for a guy getting drafted, there's 0% chance because I am a ball of stress. Like it's not
don't even
fun.
call him.
It's not a fun place to be, dude. It's like we did draft headquarters at my house this year, and my wife was like, "Yeah, we're not doing that again." Like she came down one time with like Graham, our youngest, and like we're watching the draft, and he started crying, and I was like, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Get him out of here." She's like looking at me, and I was like, "What do you?" It's the draft, and she's like, "It's your son." I was like, "Take him upstairs." And like, it wasn't good.
I heard you referred to your son as it in that moment. Actually,
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't.
Get it away.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Shut it up.
Like
now.
it wasn't. Yeah, this is such a high stress thing. But I agree, we should do a couple live shows.
Dude, I can't believe you're that
Figure it out.
stressed. You should never have a job that makes you that stressed.
Okay, well, you go invest tens of thousands of dollars into kids, and then watch the NFL tell them if it's going to work
I'm
out
with
or
your
not,
wife
and then
on this
tell me
one.
how stressed it goes.
I'm with your
Eat
wife
shit.
on this one. I'm with
No.
your wife on this one.
No. All right.
Does Jay need to calm down a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
A little bit.
You were with us there on Friday night last year when we were waiting for J Mike to get drafted. You were just as stressed.
You're right.
You
it
were
is.
just
well.
as
You
stressed.
guys set the mood. It could have been way. You guys had computers out and laptops in every corner. And you
It's
were
our
literally,
jobs,
dude. Literally,
it's our
hey,
literal job.
I left and I was like, I will never go back into that war room ever. Ever. I'm never watching the draft with Sirles ever. You should have seen. I watched it completely different. It was just more like, all right.
Bradshaw 2244 says, "Can you guys please make this show like 2 hours every day? I need it." That's the ticket here. If we go 2 hours every day, blow this thing up, and then Jay is less reliant on trying to find football jobs for kids.
We have too many kids to go that long.
Way too many kids.
Cole Larson says, "What happens if a draft pick doesn't sign his contract? Like, what happens if Michael Penix were to just say, 'I don't want to play here. This is dumb'?"
This came up when I was in Frisco with Michael Crabtree. Do you guys remember that? The rookie holdout?
Joey
Was
Bosa
this
too.
before the slotting? Was this before the?
No. Yes, this
Yes.
was before the slotting
This was
because it was the
before
last
slot.
year of the slotting, and he was mad, and so he ended up going like into a holdout all the way into camp, and everybody was like, "What's going to happen? Does he go into the draft next year and get redrafted?" And everyone was like, No, stupids. They sit on your rights forever. Like, what do you mean?
You.
That's so at first, and this was back in 2009. So this was before anything ever got crazy and anyone had a voice. But when he didn't sign, I remember everybody on the team was like, "This is unprecedented. What do you mean you're not going to sign your fucking contract? Like, sign it and get here." And he ended up going into like 3 weeks into camp with it. And everyone was literally like, "What happens if the season starts?" And they were like, "Nothing. He won't play for anybody else because the team said he plays for us." So he can't just let him go because everyone's like, "Man, Michael's going to win. He's going to go into next year's draft and get drafted even higher." And everyone was, I remember all the old guys were like, "You guys are stupid." They're literally going to sit upstairs and go, "Whenever you're ready to come sign it, it's sitting right here on the front of our desk." Like, it ain't moving. Nobody's put anything into it. It ain't changing. You can come. You don't have to come. Like, it became a big deal out there. But then he ended up coming. And I remember everyone when he showed up was like, "You feel stupid? You should."
Well, yeah, there's this thing called tolling your contract.
Oh, don't say that word.
Your
Don't
contract
say that.
Tolls, which means it just sits
You
dormantly.
don't get like a year 2 raise.
No.
Right?
Matter of fact, it just pushes 1 year down the road. So you get nothing that year, and it goes to the next year to start. They're like, "Oh, you don't want to start this year?"
Which is great for the team because the
They
team
love it.
Love it because the cap goes up, but the contract stays
the same.
I get older, and they stay the same age.
Yeah, so it's not an option. You can decide that you no longer want to play football. Right? Michael Penix, if you no longer want to play football, don't sign your contract. Otherwise, you're going to have to sign it.
Yeah, it's
so
when they draft you, they own you.
Yeah. 28 dead poet. We got one more here for this episode. Keep them coming in the YouTube comment section. 28 Dead Poet says, "You hear and see quarterbacks talk about getting in the zone where they're in a rhythm, dominating a defense, everything's clicking. Do offensive linemen ever get in a zone, quote unquote, during a game? What's it like? Have you guys ever just been in a matrix? I
used to get in the zone all the time, and Tony used to get mad at me. He'd be like, "Bona, when you go off on your tangents, you're uncontrollable." Like, you, dude, I completely agree with that. Like, there would be a time where you would just be striking dudes and you would see everything coming at you and you were like, "Man, I'm in the zone." And that's when I would get into these like really like quiet modes of like, I'm in this. And Tony hated it, but there's a lot of times I think when they talk about quarterbacks, they're predicting the defense and they see everything happening and they are kind of like, "Man, this is just like the film all week."
Yeah.
And the minute the coach is like, "Hey, on 3rd and long, we're expecting this saw blitz." First 3rd and long, he's like, "Here comes saw. I'm going to 1." Boom. Ball out. Like, you're like, dude, he's in the zone. He's in the huddle. All of a sudden, he's like, "Guys, here we go. Let's get this disco rolling." And all of a sudden, you're like, all right, he's feeling himself today. There are times too where he's not, and you're like, shit, we guessed completely wrong for the whole first half. Now we need to go in and make major adjustments. That happens too. But for an offensive lineman, I think it happens the most in the run game. When you get guys that are huffing and puffing and you start moving them around and they start playing defensive, that's when you as a unit are like, all right, now we're starting to feel ourselves. You start to rush for like 150, 200. You're like, okay, let's keep this momentum rolling. When I was early in Frisco, there was a lot of games like that where it was just we were running off the ball. People would try and blitz us. There were several times we would practice running into the blitz because they loved the way we could figure it out, and it would hit perfectly. And I remember one time in Green Bay, we had one go for like 25 yards, and we ended up slipping the linebacker up to the safety. So Jay, our center, took the defensive end. I ended up taking the linebacker, and AD ended up taking the safety, and it was like the sweetest carousel you ever saw. They highlighted it all week. I'll ding myself. It was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever been a part of, especially because it was like AJ Hawk on the other side and BJ Raji. Like, we were fucking murdering them. Frank was all excited. Like, when you get into those games, I think the defense feels it, and they're like, shit, this is going to hurt, because you're like, now we're just going to roll the ball, and when we don't want to do that, we're going to throw the ball, and then when we don't want to do that, we're just going to go back to rolling the ball again. Like, it's just a fun game for us.
Yeah, I would agree with everything Booney just said. You know, the only difference for me, getting in the zone for me was always when I felt the most prepared, right? When I knew, like, when I ran out onto the field and I was like, there's nothing this defense is going to throw at me that I'm not going to have seen before, right? When you just feel like you put the work in all week long, you studied, you did everything, and you know, you can tell when you go out there and then things start moving slower. Versus there was a few games for me where I'll admit, like, I was a backup at a guard position, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, our right tackle went down, and then you run out there and you're like, oh, I got to play right tackle, and you're like, I didn't put the work that I usually put into when I'm out here. And then you're just kind of surging and rolling on adrenaline. You can actually get into a rhythm that way. And sometimes, I mean, you kind of black out and you're like, I don't know how I just did that, but I'm here. I did it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but for me, it was always just the preparedness always kind of fed into that being in the zone.
To speak to that thing that what Jay just said about like sometimes you can go out there and play better unprepared. I think it's the dumbness of it. You don't realize how good the player is you're playing against, and all of a sudden you go out there. And I will say this: if you go out there against a really good player and you make a great strike on the first pass set, the rest of the game's over. For some reason, you just have his number. Like if you hit him square chested, the rest of the game, he doesn't really sit in your mind. It's when those first couple reps, he swipes your hands and catches you leaning that you're like, shit. Oh boy! All right, I got lucky there. I can't do that again. Can't do that again. And then all of a sudden, you're playing a little bit more defensive. But when you go out there and you're like, "You need me to play where?" I've had that. I went out and played right guard, and then 7 plays in, they were like, "Hey, you're going to left tackle," and I was like, "Whoa, what?" And that was when our boy at the Rams, fucking what was his long ass defensive end? I can't remember his name.
I got nothing for you.
What year? Give me like a year.
2011, 12, 13. He was opposite of
was it Chris
opposite
Long?
of Chris Long. Opposite. Had the sack record one year. It was him, Brockers, Aaron Donald, Chris Long. Dude, they were fucking beasts.
The sack record one year. Oh, Robert Quinn?
Robert Quinn.
Oh,
had to go out. And they were like, "Are you going to go play Robert Quinn?" I remember going,
ugliest human I've ever seen.
But now here's the problem. Like Jay said, I never really look outside for my problems, right? Like, because if you catch those dudes, it's on they spun in on a tackle and you're just going to lay them out, right? Like, you're never like, I'm going to have to block this guy by myself. And the minute they did that, I was like, oh shit. I've heard a lot about this guy. He's doing really well. I remember going over and I was talking to AD and I go, "Hey, what do we know about Robert Quinn?" He goes, "I don't fucking know. I'm playing Chris Long my whole life." I was like, shit, because they didn't rotate. And so I was like, shit, you don't know anything about him. He's like, real long dude, gonna give you some long arms. I don't fucking know. Punch him. I was like, shit. Dude, you go out there, it's like Jay said, total adrenaline rush. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna hit the shit out of you and stay with you the whole game, and I'm just gonna talk a whole bunch. Like, it was some of the most fun times you have in your life because you're just stupid and you know you're not really going to get in trouble. This isn't my position. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm just filling in for a guy, but if I'm doing good, they're going to love it, right? Like, it's just
it's house money,
fun.
Man.
Yes.
You did that to me in 16.
Fuck yourself. I did not.
You did it to, so you
dude, that's a lie.
All right. We're playing the Panthers, right? And this dude screws his hip up. And so I end up having to start the rest of the game at left guard for him. All week long, they're like, I don't think Booney's going to be able to go. So I take all the 1 reps all week. We're playing the Giants on Monday night, and I'm taking all the 1 reps. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start this week. All of a sudden, Friday, Boone's miraculously healed. And he's like, I'm great. I'm good. And they're like, oh, sweet. All right, but Sirles, be ready, right? Like, be ready to go. Like, we don't know how long Booney's going to hold up, right? So I prepared like a starter at left guard all week long. I know who we're going against. We got Hankins in there. Like, everything's going to be great. All of a sudden, 6 plays into the game, Andre Smith pops his tricep, right tackle, right? And they're like, Sirles, you played tackle. Go on out there. And so the same thing, like you just kind of run out there like, who's the end this week? Like I was looking inside, and I remember looking across like, oh, that's Jason Pierre-Paul with his weird hand.
Yeah.
Like he's got the alien hand going. And I had
Coming
like
for
a really good game against him, right? But it was the same thing, kind of just the dumb, like, I wasn't sure what to expect, so you just got to play within yourself and be like, I'm just going to play really hard and hope things go well. And there were some bad plays in that game, and there's some really good plays in that game. But yeah, it's just very much a like fly by the seat of your pants type of thing and hope it works.
Little
Dude,
Ninja Turtle hand.
I gotta say
coming
this.
coming up alongside your head.
There's a lot of times you don't get a lot of credit, but going out and playing JPP after expecting to play guard, I don't know if you guys understand, Mackey, how insanely fucking talented he was. I remember we played him when I was young, and everybody came up to me and was like, don't say a fucking word to him. And I was like, why? And they're like, this dude gets turned up, and it's fucking over. Like, he could wreck all of us. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, they were saying something like, you don't have to play him against him either. They were like, the tackles were like, you don't have to play him either. First play. What's up, pussy? Like, shut the fuck up. Dude, I will say that, dude, hey, he lined up across from you. It was like looking at Jadeveon Clowney when he first got drafted. I remember playing him when
he was like,
you were like, No, dude. No, they were long. They had these long arms, and they were looking at you like, "Where am I going? Where am I going?" And you were like,
he was like the wacky inflatable guys. It's just like,
oh, and he could bend his hips
then all
and
of a
like
sudden he'd just
flip
be like,
and like,
he was crazy talented.
Or you'd be expecting all that, and he'd hit you with a fucking long arm, and you'd be like, "Really, really, bro."
Yeah. That was a fun
Dude,
game. That was a fun game in 16.
Michael
when we beat
Bennett,
them
God,
in
they
the night.
all were the same, dude. They were just don't get him around. That was a great play.
Mr. Bennett, yeah, nice.
That was
play,
a great
Mr. Bennett.
tackle.
Nice job. Yeah, how's your family
You
doing?
help
Mr.
him
Bennett?
up. You help him up. Like you
Can I
could
dust off
you
your
could
uniform?
You could finish him over a pile, and you're like, maybe not this guy.
I'm going to be honest. I never did that with Michael. Michael and I went to the death with each other because I loved him that much and we respected each other. We had to go that hard. But there was maybe a couple guys that you were like, there was a time that I did it because the guy was old. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be the guy that ends this guy's career. That would put me, because I was on the team of the guy who cut Kevin Williams when the Niners played the Vikings. And I remember after that game, they were like, where the fuck is he? And I was like, easy. He's young. He had no idea. The coaches told him to do it. They were like, doesn't matter. He's your rookie. This is your fault. I was like, easy. Okay. And that was like, you had like B-Rob over there and Ev. They were hot. And I was like, easy. It's an accident. They're like, we're not going to have Kevin the whole season now. I was like, it's a big accident, real big accident.
Could happen to anyone. Yeah,
could have happened to anyone. They were like, and it was completely dirty. Like the play was going away, and he just came out of nowhere and cut him from behind, and it was like, oh god, we're all gonna fight our way out of this one. It was bad.
Amazing, man. So your dumb football questions here for the week on O-line committee. Yeah, I feel like you guys have stepped up your game here, you question askers. So keep coming up with some creative stuff. We'll read as many as we can. We got plenty more time this offseason now that we're past draft season. So, God. Just keep them coming in the YouTube comments section.
I'm so happy the draft's over and everyone's in a happy place. So happy. Happy. Anyways. All right. Jay, what are you doing tomorrow?
Working.
Oh. Oh, you said you weren't. I didn't know if you were going somewhere because you said you couldn't do the podcast.
I have a haircut with my son. I book out 3 weeks in advance.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
There you're good.
What are you doing tomorrow, Alex?
What are you guys doing tomorrow? You want to hang out?
I gotta go train Joe.
See you guys.